Rains, snowfalls, earthquakes, hurricanes. All these natural phenomena are well known because they occur quite often. But what about extremely rare phenomena? For example, frightening red rain, or heavenly tsunami, or a fog that brings terrible death. It's worth a look. This is Infinity, and in this episode I'll show you a natural anomaly that happens once every 1,000 years, as well as other of nature's rarest and most unusual phenomena. Bloody rain. Bloody rain is an extremely rare natural phenomena, of which Homer and Plutarch wrote. The latter believed that the blood of soldiers who died in battle dripped from the sky. In 582, it rained blood over Paris. 1,000 years later, it rained over Holland and flooded the surrounding countryside. The rain stained houses and trees red. This kind of thing was repeated further on, but very rarely. One of the most striking recent cases was the bloody rain in the Indian state of Kerala. From the 25th of July to the 23rd of September 2001, unusual rain fell intermittently and irregularly throughout the state, terrifying the locals. They didn't understand what was happening and began to believe the worst, up to the heaven's punishment and the end of the world. But scientists calmed them down. The scientists studied the samples of red sediments and came to the conclusion that there was nothing dangerous in the composition of the blood rain. Presumably, the cause of the strange color were the algae pores, which numerous colonies arrived in the early noughties of the shores of India. There are other versions. One explains the rain with butterflies, and another explains the rain with cosmic particles. Whatever the explanation, one thing's clear: bloody rain is a very unusual and incredibly rare natural anomaly. The heavens in general often offer unique surprises. For example, in 2018, a photographer in Austria managed to capture a heavenly tsunami. A frightening and mesmerizing wave fell out of a thundercloud. It reminds me of putting out fires from helicopters. It also reminds me of some apocalyptic picture because it seems as if the heavens suddenly opened up and huge flows of water poured into the frightening hole. It even resembles the biblical story of the flood. Fortunately, this time there was no flood, but a lot of water poured out. And in the US, another unusual celestial tsunami was filmed. In this case, there was no water, but only clouds. From a helicopter, one photographer managed to capture how a tsunami of clouds covered the entire coast of Panama City in Florida. The height of the waves was so high that the high-rise buildings on the coast practically disappeared into the cloud masses. That's something you rarely see. Spot rain. It's no secret that when it rains somewhere, it drips in a certain place. It may be clear or at least overcast in one part of the city, and it may be raining in another. But sometimes the rain behaves as selectively as possible and waters literally one thing. For example, a car. Take a look at how it's raining exactly on this black car. The others are standing dry while this car gets all the moisture. Maybe someone in heaven thought the car owner was procrastinating on visiting the car wash and hinted to them in this way. And in this footage, taken in Paris, we can see the rain hitting just one spot. Notice the sidewalk. It's completely dry. Well, there's a mini flood a couple of meters away, and it's not someone pouring water from above. The cameraman even raises the camera so we can be sure it's nature's prank. What is this, a glitch in nature or a glitch in the Matrix? Share your thoughts in the comments. White death. Salt is said to be the White Death. This is logical because an overabundance of salt can lead to very unpleasant consequences and diseases. But the White Death is not only salt, but also a rare phenomenon: winter fog, which brings abnormal temperature fluctuations from the plus mark to the critical minus. Scientists are still unable to explain the nature of this anomaly, as well as to predict its occurrence. This climatic phenomenon has its name not by accident. The fact that it's not only animals and plants, but also people that die as a result of sharp drops in temperature if they're far away from their homes at the time of the temperature drop. For example, in 2018, the victims of the White Death were tourists who made a stop near Pilis, a Hungarian town. According to eyewitnesses who managed to survive, they suddenly felt a strange anxiety, a piercing cold, and some supernatural terror. Although the phenomenon itself is rare and beautiful, if you see a winter fog coming, you better run as far away as possible. Looking at the sky, sometimes you can see a fantastic phenomenon. Some flashes or rays, which can take different forms, seem to fly out of the clouds. For example, in August 2020, a cloud with a crown was captured in Alabama. Is it a coincidence that it happened in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic? In fact, scientists are still not entirely sure why this phenomenon occurs, but the key hypothesis is that sunlight is reflected or refracted by tiny ice crystals above the cumulonimbus cloud. These ice crystals then line up under the influence of the strong electric field around the cloud, and the effect can manifest itself as streaks, flashes, rays, and, as it turns out, even crowns. What would be your first thought if you were in or near water and saw a green ray in the sky? You'd probably think you witnessed a UFO, wouldn't you? Well, or that you saw a test of a secret weapon. In fact, the green ray in the sky, though unusual, is understandable. It's a rare and beautiful optical phenomenon representing a flash of green light as the sun disk disappears behind the sea horizon, or conversely, as it emerges from behind the horizon. The yellow-red sun gradually appears or disappears, illuminating everything around it with a green flash. It looks incredibly cool. Fire tornado. Even an ordinary tornado is a very creepy and destructive phenomena, but it has a modification: the fire tornado. The mechanism is exactly the same, only instead of a hurricane wind, the funnel is represented by a hurricane flame. This rare phenomenon is formed due to fires. The hot air from the fire rises from the ground, swirling and curling, and gradually dissipates as the height rises. The result is about the same effect as a bathtub drain. However, while it's safe to look at a bathtub drain for a long time, in the case of a fire tornado, you have to get out as soon as possible. Although, unlike a usual tornado, a fire tornado lasts only a few minutes. This is more than enough time for the fire to destroy huge areas of forests or houses. By the way, fiery tornadoes are associated with famous events. Incidences of fire tornadoes were recorded during the Great Fire of London in 1666 and the Fire of Moscow in 1812. There's another brother of the tornado, a waterspout. As can be understood, this is a tornado that occurs not on land but directly in the water. It's usually accompanied by thunderstorms, lightning, gusty winds, and even a storm. Unlike a classic tornado, a water tornado lasts only 15 to 30 minutes, is much smaller in diameter, and rotates more slowly. But even this is enough to destroy many things in its path. Powerful waterspouts lift boats and ships into the air and drop them from great heights into the water, smashing them to the surface of the water. The most unusual variation of a water tornado is a tornado that started in the sea and then went on land. Light pillars. Once outside, you can witness one of the most beautiful and unusual natural phenomena in history. Light pillars look incredible. They're vertical columns of light in the sky appearing as if from nowhere. From the outside, it seems as if someone is trying to send several signals into space to aliens. But aliens have nothing to do with it. This visual atmospheric phenomenon occurs when artificial or natural light hits the edges of the ice crystals contained in the air. A source of light close to the surface or on the surface of Earth itself causes the appearance of light pillars if the crystals in the air are flat or hexagonal. In this case, atmospheric light guides are formed, along which light from the ground rises up in a beautiful column of light. This can be seen in winter and mostly in the northern hemisphere. You can also see snow rollers in winter. And no, this is not the creation of children who decided to make a snowman, but went further, creating such beauty. This is a creation of nature, a kind of snow analog or a tumbleweed. Only if a tumbleweed can be easily found in some backwoods field, not everyone gets to see snow rollers, and not everywhere. This is because a lot of conditions are needed for the formation of this meteorological phenomenon. The weather must be clear and the snow must be wet, but at the same time loose and fluffy. The snow should cover the ice but not stick to it. The temperature should be just above 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and the wind should be exactly such that it can create and move the snow rollers but not destroy them. All in all, to see such a phenomenon is a real stroke of luck and a miracle. No wonder that when people see snow rollers, they run out into the streets with cameras to capture the rare beauty of nature. There's another unusual phenomenon associated with snow. It has many names, including epic ones, but the main name is penitentes. Essentially, they're snow and ice peaks. From the outside, it seems as if someone from under the ground has slipped out dozens and hundreds of ice needles at once. Some penitentes are not very big, but some can reach 65 to even 100 feet in height. Usually such giants are found in the highlands, in the Andes, and on Everest. And for the mountains, penitentes, though look cool, are a challenge for climbers who have to overcome uncomfortable obstacles. In contrast, small penitentes help climbers move to the top of the mountain, forming natural steps. Studies of this natural phenomenon are conducted by several groups of scientists in both natural and laboratory conditions. But the final mechanism of the origin of penitentes and their growth has not yet been established, and the phenomenon remains a mystery. That's all, guys. What's the most unusual natural phenomenon you've seen in person? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you later.